There is an insect that hunts black widow spiders for sport. It eliminates aphids, caterpillars, and cucumber beetles without asking for payment. It returns to the same spot year after year, building an army that multiplies with each generation. And most gardeners, when they see it, reach for poison. We destroy it because we were taught to fear everything that looks like our enemy. This is the wasp that could have saved your garden. Welcome to Secrets Beneath Nature. Before we continue, if these forgotten truths matter to you, subscribe and hit the bell. Tell me in the comments, have you ever seen mud tubes on your walls and scraped them away? Your answer might surprise you by the end. Picture this. You walk into your garage on a summer morning. The sun cuts through the window and illuminates something strange on the ceiling. A cluster of mud tubes, rough, brown, alien. They look like dried clay fingers reaching across the wood. Then you see it. A long, thin insect hovering nearby. Black body, yellow markings, a waist so narrow it looks like it might snap in half. Your heart rate spikes. You grab a broom. You knock the tubes down. You feel relief as the debris scatters across the floor. You believe you just protected your home, but you did not protect anything. You just destroyed your most effective garden alley, and you did it because no one ever told you what it actually was. This is the mud dauber, scientific name Celephron cementarium. The Latin translates to mason or builder of walls. It belongs to a family of solitary wasps that have existed for over 100 million years. And in all that time, it has never once formed an army to attack a human. It has never swarmed a picnic. It has never built a hive inside your walls and defended it with fury, because it is not that kind of wasp. Here is what most people do not understand. When we think of wasps, we think of yellow jackets. We think of hornets. We think of the aggressive social species that crash our barbecues and sting without warning. Those wasps make up 1.5% of all wasp species on Earth. 1.5%. The other 98.5% are solitary. They do not form colonies. They do not swarm. They do not care about your hamburger. The mud dauber belongs to that silent majority. But we never learned the difference. We were taught one rule: if it has a stinger, kill it. So let us talk about stingers. In 1983, an entomologist named Justin Schmidt began documenting insect stings. He allowed himself to be stung by dozens of species and rated the pain on a scale of 1 to 4. 1 is the mildest. 4 is the bullet ant, which he described as pure, intense, brilliant pain. The mud dauber scored a 1, the lowest possible rating for a stinging insect. Schmidt described it as sharp with a flare of heat, like jalapeno cheese when you were expecting something mild. That is it. A brief warmth, less painful than a honeybee, less painful than a fire ant. And here is the thing. Mud daubers almost never sting humans. There are almost no documented cases of unprovoked stings. Even when you destroy their nests, they do not attack. They simply leave. They do not have the instinct to defend. Their venom is not designed for war. It is designed for something else entirely: hunting. The female mud dauber is a predator, but not of humans, of spiders, and she is terrifyingly good at it. Here is how it works. After mating, the female begins construction. She flies to the edge of a puddle, a pond, a wet patch of soil. She gathers mud in her mandibles. She rolls it into a small ball. Then she carries it back to a sheltered location, a porch ceiling, the underside of an eave, the corner of a garage, and she builds 40 trips to complete a single cell, each cell about the size of a finger. She constructs them side by side, sometimes stacking them, sometimes spreading them in rows. When a cell is ready, she does not rest. She hunts. The mud dauber finds her prey in vegetation. Orb weaver spiders, crab spiders, jumping spiders. She approaches carefully, then she strikes. Her sting does not kill. It paralyzes. The spider's nervous system shuts down. Its legs curl inward, its body goes limp, but it is still alive. She carries the spider back to the nest, places it inside the cell, then she returns for another. and another, and another. By the time she is finished, each cell contains between 6 and 25 paralyzed spiders, living, preserved, waiting. She lays a single egg on top of the first spider, then she seals the cell with mud and moves on to the next one. When the egg hatches, the larva begins to feed. It consumes the spiders one by one. Fresh meat, no refrigeration required. Nature invented preservation 100 million years before humans invented canning. One nest can contain up to 25 cells. That is over 500 spiders consumed in a single season by a single wasp, working alone, without chemicals, without cost, without asking for permission. But the mud dauber does not just hunt garden spiders. Some species specialize. In 1935, a scientist named E. Harold Hinman published a paper in the journal Science. The title was simple: The Blue Mud Dauber as a Predator of the Black Widow Spider. This was the first documented study of a wasp that specifically hunts one of the most venomous spiders in North America. The blue mud dauber is metallic, iridescent. It shimmers like polished steel. It has a hunting technique that sounds like something from a nature documentary about deception. Here is what it does. The blue mud dauber finds a black widow web. It lands on the silk, and then it begins to vibrate. It shakes the web in a specific pattern, imitating the movements of a trapped insect. The black widow, sensing prey, rushes out of hiding. The moment it does, the wasp strikes. Paralysis. Capture. Done. The black widow, one of the most feared spiders in the Western Hemisphere, becomes food for a wasp larva. The wasp does this without any human intervention, no traps, no poison, no cost. In Western North America, the blue mud dauber is the primary predator of black widow spiders, not pest control companies, not chemical sprays, a wasp. So, here's the question. If this insect provides free pest control, if it reduces dangerous spiders, if it eliminates garden pests without chemicals, why do we keep destroying it? The answer has less to do with the wasp and more to do with US. In 2021, researchers at University College London published a landmark study in the journal Biological Reviews. Lead author Professor Syrian Sumner and her colleagues reviewed over 500 scientific papers. Their goal was to quantify the ecosystem services provided by stinging wasps. What they found should have made headlines. Wasps, as predators, contribute to pest control services worth over $416 billion per year globally. They visit over 960 plant species as pollinators. 164 of those species depend entirely on wasps for pollination. Without wasps, the planet would be, in Sumner's words, pest-ridden to biblical proportions. But here is the problem. Bees have good publicity. Wasps do not. Sumner conducted a separate study on public attitudes. People love bees. They understand their role. They plant gardens for them. They mourn their decline. Wasps receive the opposite treatment: fear, hatred, destruction on sight, even though wasps provide many of the same services. Why? Because a handful of species sting aggressively. Because media coverage focuses on yellow jackets and hornets. Because we never learn to distinguish between an enemy and an ally. And there is another factor, one that nobody talks about. The global pesticide industry is worth over $60 billion. In the United States alone, farmers apply over 1 billion pounds of pesticides every year. Neonicotinoids, a class of insecticides introduced in the 1990s, are now found in 90% of agricultural pollen samples. A single kernel of corn treated with neonicotinoids contains enough active ingredient to kill 80,000 bees. These chemicals do not discriminate. They kill pests. They kill pollinators. They kill beneficial predators, including mud daubers. When you spray your garden, you are not just killing aphids. You are killing the insects that would have killed the aphids for free. You are killing the wasps that would have hunted the spiders. You are killing your own defense system. And here is the quiet truth that nobody in the chemical industry wants you to understand. There is no profit in a wasp that works for free. A mud dauber cannot be patented. It cannot be sold in a bottle. It cannot generate recurring revenue. It simply exists, and it works. That makes it invisible to an economy built on selling solutions. Professor Sumner put it this way: by using chemicals to kill pests, we are often also killing the very insects that can provide us with natural forms of pest control. And that is what social wasps are doing. The mud dauber is not social. It is solitary, but it does the same work. And it does it without asking for anything in return. So what do you do with this knowledge? First, stop destroying the nests. Those mud tubes on your porch are not threats. They are nurseries. Inside each one, a larva is consuming spiders that would otherwise breed in your garden. When you scrape those nests away, you are eliminating months of pest control. Second, create habitat. Mud daubers need 3 things: mud, shelter, and nectar. If you want them to stay, give them what they need. Let a patch of soil stay wet after you water. Do not seal every crack in your eaves. Plant flowers like Queen Anne's lace, parsnips, and goldenrod. Adults feed on nectar. They need energy to hunt. Make habitat and nectar available. Third, stop spraying broad-spectrum pesticides. Every chemical application kills indiscriminately. You might eliminate a few aphids, but you also eliminate the wasps that would have eliminated thousands. Avoid pesticides when you can. Fourth, understand the compounding effect. Mud daubers return to the same nesting sites year after year. Daughters build where their mothers built. If you leave them alone, your protection increases over time. The first year, you have 1 wasp. The second year, you have several. By the 5th year, you have a network. Each generation hunts. Each generation removes pests. Each generation costs you nothing. Your grandmother's garden may have been protected by the descendants of wasps that built nests when she was young. That is how long this relationship can last, if you let it. The mud dauber never declared war on humans. It never invaded our spaces uninvited. It simply found a place to build and went to work. We are the ones who declared war. We are the ones who scraped the nests. We are the ones who sprayed the poison. And now we complain about aphids. There is a philosophy buried in this. We were taught that safety requires control, that abundance requires intervention, that anything we do not understand must be destroyed. But the mud dauber teaches something different. Protection can be free. Pest control can be silent. The best defense is sometimes an ally you never knew you had. What else have we destroyed because we did not know what it was doing for us? The mud dauber is still out there. It is hovering near puddles. It is carrying mud balls to sheltered walls. It is hunting spiders while you sleep. Most people will never notice. Most people will scrape the nests away and spray poison in their place. They will never know what they lost. But now you know. The question is simple. The next time you see those mud tubes on your wall, what will you do? If this changed the way you see your garden, subscribe to Secrets Beneath Nature and hit the bell. Every like, every share, every comment keeps this knowledge alive. Tell me below, will you let the mud dauber stay? The next video drops soon.